In case you're wondering what's going on in my brain. Um, welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie, and thanks so much to our viewers from around the world for tuning in. And please remember, it's always better when you're here. Now, that being said, I have clips for you. I have clips. I have a cup of tea. I have some dabs. Anybody ready for a dab? I am ready for a dab. Thank you for asking. I think I'll do one now. Okay, so I hope everybody's doing well. And know that I am here and I am strong and I will be here as long as I have the support of the community that I serve. And it is my pleasure to be of service to this community. So that you all know. That look right? Does that look right? That looks about right. I think that looks about, let's see. Oh, it's so nice. Yeah, that looks right. I like that way. I like the way that looks. Kind of making my mouth water. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, my name's Mike, and this is my YouTube page, and I'm ready for a dab. I don't know if the rest of you are or not, but we can start off with a clip here about Elizabeth Warren while I warm up my lovely dab rig. Elizabeth Warren dropped out of the race today, and apparently she doesn't know who to endorse because she's such a progressive person. It's just not clear to her.
In the meantime, we move on to the other news tonight. Elizabeth Warren dropping out of the race for president, speaking outside her Cambridge, Massachusetts home today, revealing her decision, promising she will stay in the fight. The Democratic contest now a two-man race, but Warren said what she said today about endorsing when it comes to Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, and Hillary Clinton making news tonight as well, what she said about Biden. Here's ABC's Mary Bruce.
Closing out her campaign, Elizabeth Warren today spoke her mind, but revealed very little about whether she'll endorse one of her rivals.
Not today. Not today. I need some space around this and want to take a little time to think a little more.
Progressives are urging her to back Bernie Sanders, but Warren made clear she and her supporters won't be boxed in.
You know, I was told at the beginning of this whole undertaking that there are two lanes. A progressive lane that Bernie Sanders is the incumbent for, and a moderate lane that Joe Biden is the incumbent for. And there's no room for anyone else in this. I thought that wasn't right, but evidently I was wrong.
Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders are both now courting her supporters.
And today I would simply say to her supporters out there, of whom there are millions, we are opening the door to you. We'd love you to come on board.
Sanders spoke to Warren today, and so did Biden, who's now racking up endorsements. Hillary Clinton hasn't made it official, but she's sounding close.
I think people know he is a deeply decent person. He is a kind person. He doesn't take cheap shots at people.
For many people around the world, Fukushima Prefecture has become
Sorry. I got the wrong mic. This particular video again puts the audio to the outside where I'm used to my mic being on the outside, and to Stan is correct about never talk to a cop. And it's not never talk to a cop. It's just don't volunteer information. Okay, and the reason the video is titled the way it is because I have a cop ask you about weed video. Okay, and if a cop asks you about weed, apparently, if cop asks you, have you ever smoked marijuana, it can be held against you if you say yes. So, with no game playing whatsoever, if a police officer / cop, and by that I mean TSA, any of these fucktards who think that they're a cop, a prosecutor, a district attorney, anybody who acts like they're in charge, ask you if you ever smoke marijuana, you say no. Okay, and you don't play any fucking games like it's none of your business. For me, I will always say no. Of course not. Do I look like I smoke marijuana? But that's me. I can get away with that. But for anybody else, I'm very much on public record about where I stand as far as weed goes. And I have 17 years of being a medical marijuana patient. So if a cop asks me if I ever smoked marijuana, I will say no. And then if they take me and they test me and they find out that there's marijuana in my bloodstream, I'll say, will you ask me if I ever smoked marijuana? I don't smoke marijuana. I eat marijuana. I eat a cookie every morning when I start my day. Good advice. Never volunteer information to the police or anyone else who thinks that they are in charge, because it will only and always be used against you. That will be the only purpose of you volunteering that information. So we're clear. Now, back to Elizabeth Warren. I find it quite amazing that she... Okay, and the Do Not Disturb is not on the phone, so if you want to call anytime. The number is 805-669-6397. Now, I find it just amazing that this incredibly progressive lefty has to ponder on who it is that she should endorse. Right? And this bullshit fucking media is talking about, oh, she's in a position of power right now, and she's just, trying to negotiate to see if she can make the most out of that power. Fuck that. Okay? She is either someone who has progressive ideals, or she is not. Okay, and if she sides with Joe Biden, she does not have progressive ideals, and she does not care about the people of this country. In fact, anyone siding with Joe Biden cares not for the people of this country at all, because they are going to get Donald Trump reelected. What they care about is keeping the status quo exactly as it is. And why? Because they're in these cushy positions of power already. Otherwise, no one would give a fuck about their endorsements. Right? If nobody ever heard of this person, they wouldn't care about about Joe Biden, them endorsing Joe Biden. They're in cushy positions of power, where they're just fine with exactly the way things are, and they have zero interest in anything changing. So no, I'm supporting Joe Biden. And you watch Elizabeth Warren, who obviously has zero credibility at this point, show that not only is she not a real, true progressive liberal, but that she's not even really a Democrat. Because what all these people are doing, again, is helping Donald Trump get 4 more years in the White House. Anyone who is nominating Joe Biden, especially these people in positions of power, because they're supposed to be people of the know, right? They're supposed to be people who, this is the why, the party elders know best, right? That's what we're supposed to believe. That's why we listen to them when they tell us that they're supporting Joe Biden, because they know best. Okay, so if they know all this stuff, then they know what Joe Biden's voting record is. They know what Joe Biden has said all these racist things on video and audio recordings. They know that Joe Biden's history, they know that even his most recent history with Hunter Biden and the whole prosecutor in the Ukraine. Okay, he's just one giant glass jaw. Okay, and that doesn't even mention the creepy Uncle Joe shit. So all these people who claim to be Republicans or Democrats, they're not. They're just about themselves and keeping themselves in position of power. It's like I said, Elizabeth Warren wasn't even a Democrat until she decided she wanted to run for political office. And then she realized it would be much more advantageous as a Native American female, a Native American female to run as a Democrat than a Republican. Right? So, and this is who Elizabeth Warren is through and through, and she's about to show her true colors, even though we all already know that her true colors are, let's see, what is the true color? Yes, it's red. She's just a liar. You know, that's who she's been her whole life. And now somehow, we're all hanging on pins and needles to see this person with zero credibility who she's going to endorse. I'm telling you who she's going to endorse. She's going to endorse Joe Biden because she is part of the status quo establishment. Or at least she intends to be part of the status quo establishment for as long as she possibly can. So, watch. You watch. Sub Jackie Cat. Did you see that thing I wrote about your brains last night? Did you see that thing I wrote about your brains? Did you? Okay. So, let's see. So this is where we're at. We got a bunch of phonies who don't represent any of us. And, hey, Ash. Well, you were talking about brains, and I said you were talking about brains in the chat last night. So someone was talking on the phone, and I took the time to respond to you in the chat that you are so sweet, Jackie Cat. I would eat your brains with a spoon. So you know. In case you were wondering what it was that I said to you last night when I responded to you in the chat. Don't be jealous. Why are you so jealous? No, Craig's not here right now. He's working. He had to stop at the weed store. They're having problems with their cameras. You can't let the weed store have camera problems. They have, that's their main line of security is their cameras. So Craig takes very good care of his customers. And that's a giant weed store. So okay, so let's see. Where are we at here? I have another video if you would like. My video. No, I don't drink wine. And besides, you're so sweet. I wouldn't need anything. I wouldn't need a side dish, Jackie. I just eat. It's a line from a Tom Cruise movie. The movie is called Legend. And in the movie, it's all kind of fairy tale-ish, you know. And Tim Curry plays Satan, and it's great. It's a great movie. And there's this one, and there's all these like elves in the movie, and Mia Sara plays like this girl that the devil lusts for, right? So anyways, these demons come to like steal Mia Sara, right? And when they're looking at her, they're like, oh, she is so yummy. I would eat her brains with a spoon. And I was just like, you're so sweet, Jackie Cat. I would eat your brains with a spoon. So you know. Yeah, unicorns, right, exactly. Awesome movie. You get a chance. You haven't seen it. You're missing out. Probably Tom Cruise's best. Probably Tom Cruise's best. Not Tim Curry's best. Tim Curry's best will always be Sweet Transvestite, Rocky Horror Picture Show. I saw that movie 26 times on the big screen. Hey, MC. But there's another Tim Curry movie called Oscar. And if you haven't seen that one, it is fucking great. Other than that, I can't think of any other Tim Curry movies. Although I think he was in Clue and some other stuff, but whatever. Legend, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Oscar. Those are great movies. Those are great Tim Curry movies. I did not know he was in Little Orphan Annie. Was that a stage production or like a movie? I am not afraid of getting high, Jackie Cat. So that's not going to work on me. Let's see, where are we at here? We should play another video, right? Okay, so let's see. If the cops ask you about marijuana, what is it that you say? That will be asked at the end of this. There'll be a test at the end of this video. And then we'll say, if a cop asks you about marijuana, what do you say?
Recreational cannabis just became legal in Illinois, but advocates say immigrants should stay away.
People are going to say it's legal, so yes, it's fine. Like I used or I possessed, and then they can be detained, they can be deported.
They worry the new law could become a trap for uninformed non-citizens, whether they are long-time green card holders or undocumented. Illinois is the 11th state to legalize recreational pot, but it remains illegal at the federal level. That's why using it, or just being employed in the weed industry, can trigger detention, deportation, and visa denials. And on top of that, immigrants may not be aware that since possession is federally illegal, owning up to it could have the same serious consequences as any other drug crime. For example, immigrants in removal proceedings who admit to possessing cannabis in the past can be subject to mandatory detention.
Calls are subject to monitoring and recording.
I couldn't believe he got the immigration just for a simple possession of marijuana.
That's one of the reasons Jesus Lopez Gutierrez has been detained by ICE for 7 months. The undocumented man was arrested in Iowa for possession of cannabis for personal use and was swiftly transferred to ICE custody, even though the initial charges were dropped. An immigration judge denied his request for a bond on the grounds that he had admitted to cannabis possession. His lawyer argues that his mandatory detention is invalid because the immigration judge did not properly inform his client of his rights during the bond hearing.
They knew what was the charge. They still asked me if I possessed it, and I admitted. Because I was nervous. I was like, should I lie? Should I say the truth? I said the truth, you know. Just for that, I was an extreme danger to society.
Just be very careful and aware.
Advocates are also raising the alarm about how the state's initiative to expunge some past cannabis arrests and convictions could backfire for immigrants. That's because the erased convictions will still show up on immigrants' records when they apply for citizenship or other benefits.
On the application, it asks, have you ever been convicted of a crime? For all other purposes, they don't have to disclose that, but for immigration, they do. And so that's something that the federal government can say, you're committing fraud or you're not telling the full truth.
To reduce risks, immigrant rights groups are calling for statewide initiatives to educate immigrants.
For example, for owning a dispensary or things like that, people are going to have to apply for licensing through the state. The state can give advisals to say, if you're not a citizen or you have people in your household who are not citizens, you may want to consult with an immigration lawyer or, with a trusted resource.
A spokesperson for Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker told Newsy that the administration is meeting with stakeholders to ensure advocates are getting the education they need and can share that information with communities around the state. So for now, it's up to advocates to inform as many immigrants as possible.
So basically, we're just pretending, right? Like if you're at the airport coming in and the immigration official asks, have you ever used marijuana? What are you going to say?
I can't answer that.
If I detain you.
Detain me? I know I have a right to an attorney.
That's how you should answer, right?
All right, I am back. Okay, so, and again, if you get, I've talked about this a lot. I've shown you videos about people being stopped at the border, Canadians being stopped at the border and asked, do you smoke marijuana? And or have you ever smoked marijuana? And if they answer honestly and say, yeah, hasn't everybody? The cops will put that on your permanent record and you will be barred from entering the United States. Okay? So here's the deal. If a cop asks you if you have ever smoked marijuana, if a cop asks you if you have marijuana on you, here's what you tell them. Because cops don't really give a fuck about marijuana. If they ask you if you have drugs on you and you have marijuana on you, you tell them no. Okay? And I will demonstrate. Okay? I got pulled over by a cop one night, right? And the cop says, I got pulled over by a cop on a first date with this girl, and her friend was driving, and he was all fucked up, and he ran through a four-way stop sign going 35 miles an hour in his own fucking neighborhood like a crazy person. And then we get pulled over by the cops, and the seatbelts in the back doesn't work. So I'm not wearing a seatbelt because he's driving like a crazy person. I would have been wearing a seatbelt, and that's just what you do now. Get pulled over by a cop. The cop says, are there any drugs or weapons in the car? And the guy says, yes. And he says, was there drugs or weapons? And he says, well, there's marijuana. Right? And all I can think is, he better not be talking about my weed, because I ain't seen him pull no weed out all night, right? So, anyways, we're on our way to a party. Hold on. Woo! Okay, so where were we? Yes, okay, so cop pulls us over. We're all sitting in the car. There's three of us in the car. Cop says, is there any drugs or weapons in the car? Right? The driver says yes, right? And the cop says, is there drugs or weapons? And he says, there's marijuana in the car. And all I can think is, he better not be talking about my weed, because he hasn't pulled out any fucking weed all night long. And if I'm out partying, I got weed going all the time. So anyways, the cop says, okay, you're all under arrest. I just want to advise you that you're all under arrest. And he gets us out of the car, and he handcuffs all of us, right? Except for the girl. He didn't handcuff the girl, which is good. He just said, go stand at the back of the car. And then he handcuffs me, and he handcuffs the driver, and he says, go put your head down on the hood of the car, right? So we're handcuffed, right? And the cop comes over, and he says, okay, let's just stand up. So I stand up, and he pulls me over, right? He pulls me over. He's like, come over here. And he goes, do you have any weapons or drugs on you? And I'm thinking, this is the reason that we're in this trouble. Okay, I've been trained that you don't volunteer information. You don't tell if it's going to get you in trouble. You don't say, hell yeah, I want to get in trouble. So he says, do you have any weapons or drugs on you? And I think this is why we're in fucking trouble in the first place. And meanwhile, by the way, I have a ½ ounce of weed in this pocket right here, or possibly a little more, and in a pipe in the other pocket. And he says, do you have any weed or drugs on you? And I'm thinking, this is how we got in this trouble. And I go, no. And then he goes like this, and he goes down this side of me, and he feels the bag of weed right here in my pocket, and he goes like this, and he reaches into my pocket, and he pulls the weed out, and he looks at it, and he sticks it back into my pocket, and he goes down this side of my thing, and he reaches here, and he reaches into this pocket, and he pulls my pipe out, and he puts it back in my pocket, and he goes, okay, go stand over there by the hood of the car, So I go over there, and winds up, he writes a ticket for the guy for marijuana possession, and he writes me a ticket for no seatbelt, and takes the dude's marijuana, but I gotta keep my weed because I didn't fucking volunteer information on his little fucking camera that says, yes, I'm guilty of a crime, please arrest me. I didn't do that, so I got to walk away with my weed. So don't. Again, the cops aren't. I don't know. I was trying to get a video today about some cops fucking brutalizing some kid in New York because he's walking down the street smoking weed. And I really wanted to get that video for you, but unfortunately, the stupid motherfucking Mike Pence had a press conference at that time here locally in Seattle. And nobody fills me with more confidence than that fucking piece of garbage. This is where we're at. He interrupts something important so that, he can fucking make us all feel so much fucking better. Does Mike Pence make any of you people feel better to know that Mike Pence is in charge of this fucking, of this plague? Does it make you feel better to know that Mike Pence is in charge? Because it makes me feel like we're all gonna die. There's no tomorrow. And that's my favorite thing about the coronavirus. Actually, is it makes you think about if something's gonna happen. What is it that I would want to be here doing? With my last days. And I've thought a lot about that. And for me, it's just really, most of all, I just want to hang out with my dogs and maybe grow some flowers, because that's if it's the end of all of us, if it's the end of me, it's the end of me, and whatever. I know what I want to do. I want to spend time. I just want to hang out and, I don't know. It's a good life. It's been a good life. I'm happy. I'm not worried. Don't worry. Don't tell the cops you have marijuana. Everything's fine. You know who I feel really bad for? Is I went to the grocery store today. And the cashiers at the grocery store, I feel pretty bad for. Because they got to touch everything after everybody else, and they got to touch all their money, and, oh man, I feel bad for them. Although they love seeing the dogs. I mean, they're just like, oh, God, I love these dogs. Everybody loves the dogs. So, it's, you know, Boo Bear. Everybody loves that Boo Bear, huh? All right, so I have done 2 dabs and 2 videos already. Should we play another video? Are you ready for another video? I can play another video. And we've done no phone calls, just in case anyone's counting.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am?
You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
That is 3 videos in 30 minutes. That's pretty good, man. I don't think it's a record or anything, but it's pretty good. Alright, so anybody want to take odds on, like, who Elizabeth Warren is going to fucking endorse for the President of the United States? Who do you think it's going to be? Anybody? Who do you think it's going to be? Hey, look at that. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, it's Ash again.
Hey, Ash, how are you tonight?
Well, you said that you got no calls tonight, so might as well be the first.
You're always...
I feel sorry for you, brother.
What's that?
I said I feel sorry for you, brother. Must be all lonely in your bunker. Bunker full of weed and your dog.
No, man, I'm good. You know, I have a friend, and he told me one time that if I was to like get robbed and he was to find me after I was like robbed and stuffed into a closet, you know, with my hands tied behind my back, that he would expect me to find me either laughing or singing, because I'm very self-entertaining.
You're all good, man. What were you going to say before I started to interrupt you?
I don't know.
I don't know, something about me calling in or something, but anyway, I got an update on the salmon, dude. I ended up making salmon linguine out of it.
Really?
And that was pretty good.
With like a cream sauce or something? With like a cream sauce? With like a cream sauce or something?
No, I use like a butter sauce.
Well, that's
pretty good.
Yeah. Awesome.
I had a bit of an oopsie though. I didn't have a corkscrew. So I stupidly went on Google and was like, well, how the hell do I open this thing? Because the cork was in there deep, and I didn't know about the whole lighter trick and all that. So I took a knife. Well, it didn't turn out too well because the knife went straight through the cork.
Yeah.
And anyway, I ended up evacuating. It was a bottle of Chardonnay with California. Forget the label.
Well, that sucks.
But, yeah, it was still good, though. Luckily, I didn't get any cork material or glass in it.
How come you don't have a corkscrew?
Dude, because I forgot to buy one.
Oh.
To tell you the truth, and I'm serious, because it's like when I was showing my family about this shit, it's like, why didn't you tell me? I would have gone to Kroger and bought you one. I'm like, dude, this is embarrassing as shit.
Yeah, I know. I mean, a corkscrew is kind of mandatory equipment, dude.
I know.
I don't even drink, and I don't even drink, and I think I own 3 or 4 of them.
Oh dang, you're doing better than I am in that department. Then shit, I need to get cracking on that.
I used to be a waiter, so.
You know what, man? I've never heard you talk about that kind of stuff. You know, like the path of Mike Hawk. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I talk about.
So you're a waiter.
I was talking to Maui the other night about how I used to wait tables at the Rusty Harpoon in Maui and Ka'anapali, and but I traveled all over. I talked about working in Tahoe at Harrah's on the 18th floor, which was
nice.
Yeah, it was like, oh man, the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen in my life. And I spent 2 years in Maui in Lahaina, where you get all the sunsets, and I've never seen more beautiful sunsets than Tahoe. I'll tell you that.
Dang. Well, that's cool then. Yeah,
well, the restaurant in Tahoe that I worked in was it was like 50% of the people who went there were comps, and it was considered to be one of the top 5 restaurants in the world.
Holy cow!
Yeah, a lot of tableside cooking and shit like that.
I didn't know that. Dang, dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, Tahoe was really good for me.
It's good. I've heard a lot of horror stories about Tahoe, to be frank with you about it. But that was like way back in like early 90s. Yeah,
I was there in the 80s.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains it then.
Meh. Everything was...
It changed a little bit after that.
Everything's changed since 9/11, that's for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, literally, there could be books and movies about that forever. I was just talking about that earlier. So, but yeah, I got a bit of an update on the whole Syria thing, and I'd also like to talk about the Biden nonsense and all that. I heard you earlier talk about Warren dropping out. I heard on the Young Turks that it's like, well, she's probably going to drop out and endorse someone. I'm like, it's too early to tell. Sure enough, next day, she drops out. Has she endorsed anybody yet?
No, that's what the conversation has been about so far. Mostly is that Warren, showing again her true colors, because she's this giant phony, right? First there's this Native American bullshit, and then and again this shit where she says that she's a Democrat, but she was a Republican before she was a Democrat, before she decided to run for office, and then she became a Democrat because she realized it's politically advantageous. So she's this big giant phony who claims to be this incredibly progressive liberal, and now there's really only one person who even comes close to that kind of a description, and left in the race, and she doesn't know. I played a clip earlier where she was saying she's not sure who she's going to endorse yet.
Yeah, but that's the thing about Warren. So much about her, from her own admission, from her own words, is complete bullshit. Everything from the background of her career as an educator, her own kids, schooling, her ancestry, like you said, it's like she will tell. I got to tell you, very similar to Hillary Clinton. Whatever she thinks the public wants to hear, she will go with that no matter what. Going as far as even taking a freaking DNA test when Trump challenged her to it, which proved she was lying the whole time. Yeah. And even lied that she was Native American just so she could get into school. Yeah. Because of that, what's this thing called? Affirmative action. So she could get into school.
Yeah. Yeah, she everything has just been about what's best for her, and how she can take advantage of whichever situation. Like I said, being a woman of Native American descent makes it much more advantageous to be a Democrat than a Republican, for sure.
Yeah, especially the jawline. You can really tell.
So, and that's the problem, and that's what Bernie said. Bernie said to her a month ago, you cannot beat Trump, Elizabeth, and she turned it into, oh, Bernie says a woman can't beat Trump for the White House, and Bernie said, I never said that, and he should have explained, I never said that, Elizabeth. What I said is, you can't beat Donald Trump, didn't I, Elizabeth? You doesn't have to go into too much more detail. Everybody knows she can't beat him. Everybody knows she's a fucking punchline for Trump. She's a punchline of a Trump joke. And it's done. I mean, she can't beat him. She can't stand on the same stage with him. And now she's going to act like every fucking journalist outlet in the world now is acting like somehow she has all the power and the most credibility, and we should all listen to what she has to say as far as who she's going to pick. And if she picks anybody other than Bernie, then there's zero left to whatever might have been her credibility, because she claims to be a progressive. She claimed to be a Native American. She's not a Native American. She claimed to be a Democrat. But first she was a Republican, and now she claims to be a fucking, very progressive liberal. And there's only one person who qualifies for that label, and it sure the hell ain't Joe Biden. So if that's the direction she goes, the rest of whoever it is she claims to be is done, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. And it would just prove, if anything, that the last, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years has just been a facade building up to this moment. Because, seriously, say she was doing well in the polls, it still wouldn't change the fact that she's been a liar for the vast majority of her career. Right. And everything is centered around, like you said, what can she get out of it?
Yeah.
What is advantageous to her?
Right.
Regardless of everyone else.
Which is basically the way politicians work. It's like I keep saying, these people that claim to be pro-life, they don't give a fuck about abortion. What they care about is that that's extremely advantageous for them to take that stance, so that they can get that whole fucking pro-life support, which is, whatever percentage of the population that it is. And those people vote, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they don't give a fuck about
that. Speaking of the pro-life thing and people voting and all that, I think it's fascinating, these statistics that have come out of some of these southern states about voting for Biden, voting for Sanders, Bloomberg. It was just fascinating to see the vast differences in the demographics and the ages of people. It seems like almost exclusively like older people voted for Biden. And another thing is, they don't go by the party of who the people were who voted, right? Like what you said the other night.
Yeah.
And I am really suspecting here. There were a lot of Democrats and there were a lot of African Americans who voted, but that said, there were also a lot of Republicans that voted. Now, as for Virginia, I don't know, but some of these deep southern states, for sure. Without a doubt.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, the message has been going out to them. I played a video, I don't know if it was Tuesday or Monday, where there was a conservative journalist talking about how he was going to vote for Biden in the primary. So and it was because he looks for the most conservative person that he can put in the White House, and that person isn't Donald Trump, which is a load of shit. All that they're hearing is Republican, vote for Biden. So I'm telling you, the Republicans helped a lot on Super Tuesday for Joe Biden. There is no doubt in my mind.
For sure. What do you make of that Sanders ad that played that Obama audio clip in it that's causing so much attention and so much controversy?
I think that if I was running for president, I wouldn't want Obama's support. So I don't know. I think personally is somewhat a mistake to try and act like you have that person's support. Because that person is a fucking dirty war criminal who belongs in prison, and I don't think that it's beneficial to you to act like that's your buddy.
Oh, for sure. And if anything, I don't believe that was Sanders who did it. I think that it's his campaign staff. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Because so much of what Sanders has said and done running for president now and all the way back in 2015 and 16 is almost completely diametrically opposed to everything that we experienced under Obama and Bush, maybe going as far as back as pretty much every president since maybe Roosevelt, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not an imperialist. He's not a corporatist. He's a non-interventionist, unless it has to do with defending our own country legitimately. He doesn't support these mega corporations. He wants to pardon people who've been locked up for weed. He wants to legalize weed federally, outright.
Right.
You know, and it's just like, you know, like I said, we've talked about this so many times before. I mean, it's like when we look at everything that happened under Bush, and we look at everything that happened under Obama, and then all the lies that Trump told, and these promises that this man made, you know, and that people just ate it up like a big bowl of bullshit, and they just ate it up, and it's like, well, he's not a politician. He says what he thinks. Well, how do you know that? I mean, this guy's a billionaire. His whole career, his whole life has been nothing but bullshit and just this tacky scandal stuff. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And you know,
you're talking about Trump, right? You're talking about Trump, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, and the proof of that, of those, what you just stated, is that it became impossible for the Trump White House to hold a daily White House briefing because Trump lies so much, so blatantly obvious lies, that the White House press secretary couldn't keep up with the lies, and they had to cancel no more White House briefings. And it's been this fucking thing they've been doing for like 70 years or something, you know?
Yeah. It's unbelievable. I mean, I never thought I would see the day where something like that would end.
Yeah.
Where they just, and then there was some talk, I think it was 2018 or something like it. It was late 2018. Trump talked about in a press conference about maybe putting out to every, you know, just the press, generally speaking, just anybody who wants to hear it, to put out like a memo or something, or just a paper of, here's, you know, what we say on this, and, you know, no questions asked. Don't ask us about it. Just here it is. Take it or leave it.
Here's our here's our daily talking points. This is and the answers to your questions. It has the answers to your questions if you read it. There you go.
Yeah, it's like the Bill O'Reilly presidency talking points memo.
Well, you know? I'm telling you, this is the way that it works. Is that Bill O'Reilly came up with that because they get a daily talking points memo from the White House. You know, Fox News gets it. All of them get it. If it doesn't come from the White House, it comes from somewhere else, and it doesn't necessarily have to go into CNN. It comes from goes to the boss, and then it goes out to the rest of them. You know what I mean? It's just they know what their dialogue, exactly what their dialogue is supposed to be. They all have meetings on like how they conspire against Bernie Sanders. They all make sure they have a daily meeting, and they all make sure that they're on the same page about how we're going to fuck Bernie Sanders today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I can guarantee they're having those meetings, dude.
Yeah. And this is how evil the people are that are supposed to be supposed to be fair and unbiased. Right? Those are the people that are supposed to be, not have an opinion. They're here to tell you what happened today, and yet that they're anything but that. You know, it's not
fair and balanced, right?
Yeah, it's and you know, that's where the Mox News motto came from, the unfair and biased motto, because I've always felt that if I start on this footing that we are unfair and biased, then I'm 1,000 times more fucking honest than the mainstream media right from the start.
Because you're telling it like it is.
There's no bullshit. I don't honestly believe that people can be unbiased. I think everybody has these opinions, and to be a journalist and be unbiased is almost impossible.
Right, especially when you see things as insane in front of you as the non-stop bullshit coming out of the Trump administration, or say whether it be something going on in Gaza or something going on in Ukraine.
Or
I mean, there's no way.
Yeah, or Obama spying on every single American, you know, all these things. I mean, it's horrible the way this government acts. Like, it's just this. It's like a rogue fucking nation, man. And I feel really bad that we're having such a hard time reeling it back in.
Yeah, and it's almost like Trump's whole mission is to make the United States basically. This is going to sound pretty crazy. I'm not saying that he's succeeding at this, but he's trying. It's almost like he wants the United States to be like, say, an autocratic nation like Syria or Turkey or North Korea or Turkmenistan or Kazakhstan or Belarus.
Yeah.
He wants the United States to be a nation that is, by definition, rogue. But you either go with what we want or else, or suffer the consequences. Like that one caller who just went on and on and on the other day about Iran has to accept our demands or else, and saying that every nation on earth should have nuclear weapons. I mean, that literally is the Trump mentality. But he has talked about using nukes multiple times.
But it's not just Trump. I mean, it's Obama,
right.
It's Bush. You know, Bush was either you're with us or you're with the terrorists. That's how bad Bush was,
right.
And he fucking just said it right into your face. Either with us or you're the terrorist. And then Obama executed it. Obama said, oh, I'm one of you guys, and when you go into the streets, I'll go in there with you. And then the people went into the streets, and he fucking labeled them terrorists, potential terrorists. And you know, I mean, it's just disgusting. It couldn't be more disgusting. In the proud American tradition, the people went into the streets, and they didn't go there and do their little march. They went into the streets and stayed there and demanded the change they were promised. And because they were fucking fully exercising their rights, they were labeled a potential terrorist threat, and the police were sent in to bloody their skulls as if they were a terrorist threat. And that's exactly what happened.
Right. Michael Bloomberg was one of the first mayors to organize that nationally.
Yeah.
He came up with the plan to simultaneously dismantle all the Occupy movements in all the various cities.
Well, if you mean he came up with the plan, the CIA came up with the plan. Yeah, he came up with the plan.
Right, he executed it. That was the first to do it.
Right.
Is what I mean.
Yeah. Because
and like you were saying earlier about the papers that the media gets, it's the same thing what we're talking about here with these big city mayors.
Mm-hmm.
Like CNN, they used to get Pentagon papers all the time.
They still do.
They would constantly get them. Oh,
they still do. Every day they get some kind of a memo that says, here's today's talking points. If this shit comes up, it's better just to not talk about it. You know, nobody really wants to know about what's going on at the Pentagon, so just, don't talk about it unless if it comes up, here's what you need to know. They get it every fucking day.
Right. Because it's the corporate news. It's just this
because it's an arm of the Pentagon. Because the mainstream media is an arm of the Pentagon that just marches us into war and makes sure that we stay there forever.
Do you remember how disgusting that was during the Iraq War? How they would have like the digital eagle fly over the computerized tank, and it would be like the war room, and it was so like South Park and so just over the fucking top and cartoonish, literal Team America type shit.
Yeah.
And that's what that whole movie was about, was a parody of just the absurdity of this shit.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, if you watch the movie, if you watch South Park the movie, it's like these guys saw what was coming. Okay, that movie's 1999, and they saw this crackdown on freedom and this endless war thing. They saw it coming, and they tried to warn us. Yeah,
and the TV would have a lot to do with that. Like you said, it's an arm of the Pentagon.
Exactly. The TV in South Park the movie, the TV was constantly coming on with these fucking updates about the war and that and how America was, boom, Stars and Stripes and all this stuff. It's fucking brilliant movie, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, but have you heard about what's going on with Turkey and Russia right now? They agreed to that ceasefire.
Yeah, I have a video about that.
Oh, good. I was going to ask you about it, or just did actually. I'm checking my notes here because sometimes it's like we talk about things and I forget to bring them up, or we get sidetracked. But it's all good. But
yeah, I have a video about
Russia
and Turkey signing a ceasefire over Syria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very similar to what we were saying before about how a lot of it's advantageous to Israel.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Because publicly Turkey, although they're a NATO member, they're allied with the United States on paper, they absolutely fucking hate Israel publicly. And Russia sort of takes a pro-Palestinian stance publicly. But it's almost like, because why would Israel and Turkey simultaneously be attacking Syria and predominantly hitting Iranian targets and Iranian proxies and allies simultaneously? But the media only discussed the Turkish side of it, not the Israeli side of it, which was also going on.
Right. I hear you. And this is what I'm saying. I mean, it seems like Turkey is somehow doing Israel's bidding. So it's good to hear that they're getting out of the way, because Turkey's got no business in Syria any more than the United States has fucking business in Syria.
Right.
Probably
have business with it.
What's that?
I said I don't want any nation to have business with it. I mean, it's just it's crazy how all these people are trying to take advantage of this country that's just been through so much suffering for almost a decade now.
Yeah.
To further their own fucking evil shit.
Right.
And they gain nothing out of it. And just the apathy of the world and the people of the world to this conflict is just disgusting.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, let's say this deal wasn't made. God forbid. Say this deal wasn't made. Say this escalated. Say this got out of hand.
Yeah.
If this is how the whole world is looking at Syria and looking at Yemen and all the horrible shit there with the cholera outbreak and everything, God forbid if we were in World War fucking III. Because, what would they do? Oh, well, hey, we have this Levitra commercial, or, some bullshit, or it's whatever the Pentagon wants. And even the foreign media, all they're talking about is this coronavirus. That's all they're talking about.
Well,
for the most part.
My clip about the ceasefire in Syria is from the German news, and it was at the very top of the news of the German news. So
yeah, I saw that in Germany too.
Yeah,
with rare exception, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to find any of this shit. I mean, you can't. It's hard to find news about the U.S. bombing the Taliban yesterday. It's hard to find news about
Are we supposed to be at peace with them, though?
Yeah. We just exactly. I mean, and again, that's why you would think that this would be big stories, especially with them fucking wanting to get Trump out of office because he's this horrible president. He just did this stupid deal and it didn't work. The art of the deal. The guy's a fucking phony. But nothing in the mainstream media, nothing at all about the bombing of the Taliban.
I haven't even found any articles about it either.
No,
that's what's so crazy.
I played a video last night. I played a video last night about it.
Good.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see that, but it's just, I mean, the sheer incompetence, man. And it's just, I'm going to ask you a frank question here about this shit, man. At this point, with everything that's going on with Biden and just the unbelievable fuckery that's going on, does Sanders, going forward, can he do it? Can he mass enough delegates at this rate?
Look, it's not a matter of the delegates. It's what he has to do is keep the support of the people. Okay, if he keeps the support of the people, and builds it, and he can do that, but it's a matter of how hard he's going to hit back on the media, because he has to hit back on the media. Now he has, and in fact, if Elizabeth Warren tomorrow endorses Joe Biden, he has to slam Elizabeth Warren as one of the biggest phonies of fucking all time.
And you would have to do it immediately, too.
Yeah.
Almost as soon as it happens.
Yeah.
So, like you said, hit back at the media for sure.
Yeah, because the media's again, they're a big giant glass jaw, and it's you could punch anywhere and they'll crumble, and for whatever reason, you know, they're gonna. I know what it is. You know, they already got the crazy Bernie thing, and he doesn't want to give them any crazy Bernie moments, you know. But fuck that. He needs to fucking break it down. Just figure out the plan of attack and point out. Like I said, what he should do is when they start to attack him, he should go, well, why is it that you never asked Joe Biden about this vote in Iraq? You know, about how he feels about 1 million dead Iraqis on his vote, and you know, innocent Iraqis on his watch, and ask him, you know, but that's okay. You don't have to answer. We know why. Because you helped make 1 million innocent Iraqis die, Wolf Blitzer, you know, by, you know, helping George W. Bush and then Barack Obama continue these never-ending wars. He needs to fucking slam them as the war propagandists, meaning / war criminals that they truly are. And then maybe, right. and then maybe he will get the support of the people, and maybe, you know, he can get the nomination. But the thing is what he really needs is the people. You know, fuck these super delegates and all that, because the people, they're not going to take this shit again. You know, so go ahead, Ash.
Yeah, well, I was going to say about Doppelcooper there. Yeah, the gloves need to come off. They need to come off, and Sanders needs to hit the media.
Yeah.
And he needs to hit them hard and be relentless about it. He's got the money for the ads. He needs to put them out.
And every other status quo fuck also. You know, these people who are trying to keep us in these, like Tulsi Gabbard does. I mean, come on. She came out and said Hillary Clinton is the personification of rot that is destroying the Democratic Party. You know, in the middle of a presidential campaign where Hillary Clinton is the queen of everything, you know, and then slams her with a $50 million lawsuit for defamation. You know, I mean, it's just, she's a folk hero in my opinion. And man, I hope that she drops out of the race and that Bernie Sanders just immediately announces that she's going to be, and she just starts appearing with him or fucking touring, you know, is doing the tour where she's on the tour for Bernie. Yeah, she would be fucking amazing. I mean, the Tulsi fucking tour for VP would draw almost as many people as fucking Bernie Sanders, I would bet, you know. And
she's going to be coming up in the debates too.
And
she got that delegate.
And there ain't no way that Mike Pence could draw fucking bumfuck anybody, you know, if he was running, including in Indiana. So we're clear.
Yeah, I don't know anybody in Indiana that likes him.
Yeah, me either. I have friends that grew up there and that know him well and have all kinds of family there, and this guy is a horrible, horrible human being, and that's what they all think.
Yeah, like for example, there was someone earlier talking about the AIDS problem, the HIV/AIDS problem that they had when he was governor.
Yeah,
it was just unbelievable how that man sat on his fucking ass and didn't do shit about it. And then his excuse is, oh, well, I need to consult with God about it. Well, you better get talking quick. And then sure enough, it's interesting, call it God, call it whatever, I don't know, but eventually told him to do the right thing and do the needle exchanges and the sharing and all that. And he's like, well, I morally disagree with it, but that's what God told me. Well, I don't know who told you did, but that was the right thing, and you should have done that months ago. There were so many people that had their lives totally destroyed over something that could have been easily prevented.
Yeah, the most important thing that needs to happen is to loosen the police state stranglehold on fucking everyday citizens, man. If you want to have any kind of fucking loyalty, you know, really good country, then we have to stop making our everyday citizens into fucking criminals, because it's not working out well.
Right. Like I said before, it is crazy to put someone in freaking prison over a plant.
Yeah, or so many other fucking things. Yeah. I agree. Hey, Ash, I'm going to play that video about Turkey and Russia signing a ceasefire agreement, okay?
All right, man. It was good talking to you. I got to get off in about 30 minutes anyway. But it was good talking to you.
All right. Yeah, it's good to hear from you. I look forward to talking again soon, okay?
All right. Take care, man.
See ya. That's our buddy Ash. He has an awesome YouTube page, and I'll put that up for you here one of these days real soon. And I'm going to play this video about Turkey signing a ceasefire because, again, this is something we've been covering pretty much every day because it's very important. There's China, there's Russia, there's all these people over there. Last thing we need is a hot war with Russia, Turkey. So this is important. Might want to see it. That's why I'm playing it for you.
For many people around the world, Fukushima Prefecture has become synonymous with the 2011 nuclear accident. One unique tour from Tokyo is giving visitors a better understanding of the reality on the ground, letting them see the damage and the signs of recovery with their own eyes. NHK World's Jun Yotsumoto has more.
This point is 3 kilometers from the NPP-1.
This sightseeing tour attracts a different kind of tourist, people who are keen to learn about life in the shadow of the Fukushima accident. Participants have different motives for joining.
I'm interested in seeing it for myself and to learn what people do in reaction to a disaster and what we can learn from that.
Fukushima also changed the complete electrical policy in Germany, so I want to see what is really the impact of this disaster.
One goal is to dispel misconceptions about the area.
When we say Fukushima, it's the name of the prefecture and the name of the city and the name of the nuclear power plant. So it's different.
Guests are asked to track radiation levels as they get closer to the crippled plant. Even here, about 6 kilometers away, the reading is lower than at Tokyo Station. But people still hesitate to visit the prefecture or purchase its products, even though they undergo safety checks. Fumito Sasaki wanted to do something about it. He runs a Tokyo-based tourism company and started the tour 3 years ago. Government subsidies have helped him bring 700 visitors to Fukushima. For Sasaki, the tours are about more than business. His wife was born and raised there.
When they hear the word Fukushima, many foreigners think the whole prefecture is dangerous. It's important to make sure our clients understand it's only a small part of the prefecture.
They stop in part of a town that's still inside the exclusion zone. Kids' shoes sit in their cubbyholes at a local school. A deserted pub that was once filled with laughter. The remnants of lives that were scattered suddenly.
It's really sad to see like the dramatic change of the lives of the people. Yeah.
The highlight is a chance to meet with locals who are keen to share their stories. Cattle farmer Masami Yoshizawa tells them he keeps 254 cows that he can never sell because they are contaminated. The government told farmers like him to kill their livestock. But Yoshizawa didn't want to let his cows die. He says they are a living testament to how a nuclear accident can disrupt life.
I'll stay here to show people that I'm determined to live with these cows, because I am and will always be a cattle farmer.
But there are also signs of recovery. People have been returning to parts of the town where the evacuation orders have been lifted. Businesses are reopening in this small shopping mall. Seeing both the damage and the recovery for themselves leaves the tourist with a new perspective.
The effect of nuclear damage is so so deeply felt here that we need to make sure that it doesn't happen again with all of our, everywhere else in the world.
People are kind of trying to get their lives back together, which is quite nice to see.
I believe there is hope from the people hanging on to rebuild. We want to continue showing people that hope. Drawing more visitors will give locals motivation to rebuild their communities.
That is the height of tsunami.
Many of the tourists say they want to visit the area again in 10 or 20 years. Residents here are working to ensure future visitors will see communities that are stronger than they were before the disaster. Jun Yotsumoto, NHK World, Fukushima.
Let's see, where were we? Oh, right. Okay, so I'm sorry, I got the wrong clip there. That was clip 8 instead of clip 7. That was a tour of Fukushima. I've been seeing a lot of Fukushima stuff lately. I think they're trying to act like Fukushima is all over now and everything's all better and there's nothing to see here, folks. Which is I'm pretty sure that's not what's happening in Fukushima, at least not in the melted down reactors. I don't think that's what's happening. So what I see happening is that the Olympics, they're worried about people remembering about Fukushima for people traveling to the Olympics, and there was all this, issues with radiation in Tokyo and everything when the reactors were melting down. And so they're probably trying to act like, no, everything's good now, which it seems like not the way to go about it. I mean, it seems like you'd want to be like, Fukushima? What's Fukushima? This, right? But it seems like if, you hear the word Fukushima and you're like, oh man, I forgot about Fukushima. Shit, but nobody's coming to Tokyo, you guys. The Olympics is not yet officially postponed, but I'm pretty sure it's off. So, I think you might want to postpone your Fukushima propaganda tour, because that's what it is. Obviously, it's oh no, all you people who want to come and enjoy the Olympics, look, everything's all good. It's all good. Look, the students are going there to check it out. Which I'm sure it's safe to go and travel through there, but I don't think you'd want to live there or anything right now. Especially considering who knows what's going to happen next in the middle of this nuclear meltdown. We have at least 1, possibly 3 nuclear reactors melting down at Fukushima. And it's not like they got put out. It's not like that's a done deal and we don't have to worry about it anymore. That is still going on. So that's why I wanted to play that for you, because I thought it was, I haven't seen it. Like I said, I haven't seen anything for Fukushima for years. And all of a sudden I'm seeing little Fukushima stories about, oh, people are going back to Fukushima. I'm like, no, they're not. What's this bullshit? I still, oh, you know what, Turkey, it wasn't clip 7, it was clip 9 that I was supposed to play instead of clip 8. That's the Turkey clip. Turkey, now I want a sandwich. I'll have to do with tri-tip sandwiches, damn. So, this is my friend's Sam's video of, I believe that's Gasworks Park in Seattle, or like Fremont area. Seems like. Might be the back of Queen Anne. I love the backside of Queen Anne. The backside of Queen Anne is so nice. With the lake view. That's where I'd go shopping for a house if I hit the lottery. Lakeview, backside of Queen Anne. Very nice. Big trees. I always like the neighborhoods that have the big trees. We have like 100-foot tall cedar, ancient cedar, like probably, 8 feet in diameter, across the street from us. I love those trees. I love the trees so much. Like I said in the past, the sound that I just makes me cringe in my neighborhood more than anything is the sound of a chainsaw. It makes me so, like, you can't, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I should do something, but I don't know what to do. It'd be like if you heard someone getting raped or something, it's like, I know I have to do something, but I don't know what to do, Although I'd know what to do if I heard someone getting raped. I go, knock that shit off. Toilet paper. Does toilet paper come from fucking China or something? Everybody's stealing all the toilet paper off the shelves. Did we get toilet paper from China? I am definitely a tree hugger. Because I don't understand what the deal is. We're going to lose all the toilet paper. Does it come from... Okay, I understand you need to have TP. I get that. Does it come from China? That's what I'm asking. Because if it doesn't come from China, why is it we're going to have a problem getting toilet paper? Right? Why is everybody stealing all the fucking water off the shelves? It's not like there's a flood and all the water is now undrinkable. It's not like somehow there's a gas shortage and the supply lines have been broken for the water. What is going on with these people? Huh? People, right, yeah. I just don't, again, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's not like, again, I feel bad for the people at the store, the cashiers, because those people, they're being exposed to everybody, and I feel bad for them about that. But, look, it's all good. We're going to get through this. We always get through this, Look, I'll tell you the truth, okay? Here's the truth. I have been diagnosed with a lung condition. So when I say I have a lung condition for which I have to apply essential oils, that comes from somewhere, I make it into a joke. But the truth is I have been diagnosed with a lung condition called sarcoidosis, and it was fucking 23 years ago, and the fucking doctor told me I would probably die from a cold. Okay? And so anyways, 23 years later, here's the deal. I already have to deal with this thing every day, where you have to, where you're going to die from a cold. Okay, I got that figured out. I've been told that already. I understand that. So, it's not something new for me when I talk about how, not to worry and not to be strong. It's because I do this. I have this every day for 23 years. And it's not that I haven't gotten sick and stuff. Again, I know to be strong and move forward and no fear and make your life happen and enjoy every day. Whatever there is to enjoy, find something to enjoy. And feel good about what it is that you make happen in the world. And I do. Every day. So, that's where we're at, so you guys know. And we're going to have to take a break here because I need to apply my essential oils again. See, when I say that, the doctors, when they first told me, right, when they first diagnosed this issue with my lungs, right, they said, you have this thing, and it's probably going to kill you. But we can control it with steroids. And they had me do these inhaling steroids like every 4 hours. And that drove me bonkers. And they said, oh, well, we can help you out with this emotional, craziness that you're experiencing from the steroids with antidepressants. I'm like, whatever. I just can't deal with what's happening right now. And they said, oh, here, take these. I started taking their fucking pills. And then about a year later, I said, hey, we legalized marijuana. Same doctor I've been seeing from day one. 2 years into it, 3 years into it, 2.5 years into it. I said, hey, we legalized marijuana, medical marijuana finally. So I need you to sign this form so that I can be protected from the police fucking my life. And the doctor said, I can't do that. So he's giving me steroids that make me crazy and fucking other shit that make me crazier. And then I ask him for this completely safe substance and helping me be protected from the police. And he said, no. And that was the last time I went to see the doctor. And I'm feeling much better now. So, So I'm not afraid. I haven't been afraid for a long, long time. As I tell you, I don't have the fear. It's not something. It's not meant to be a daily part of our lives. You're the top of the food chain, man. You're the king of the jungle. And if there's shit to take care of, you will take care of it. Right? Isn't that the way it's always worked before? All right, I need to heat up my tea. I'm going to play that turkey clip now because no one's calling. The Do Not Disturb is off the phone. I'm going to play the turkey clip, clip number 9. Turkey signs a ceasefire agreement with Russia and Syria. Clip number 9.
Well, there may be a possible end to the fighting in northwestern Syria tonight. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Russian President Vladimir Putin say they've agreed to a ceasefire for the country's Idlib province. That ceasefire takes effect at midnight tonight. The deal was announced after 6 hours of talks between the two leaders today in Moscow. Earlier, we heard from our Russia correspondent Emily Sherwin about that meeting.
These talks seem to have been rather tense. They went on for over 6 hours. First, there was a tete-a-tete meeting between Putin and Erdogan. Then ministers from both sides, from both countries, joined those talks. They've agreed on a ceasefire to come in to force at midnight. They've also agreed to create some sort of a security corridor in Idlib. And they've also agreed to start carrying out joint patrols between Russian and Turkish forces in the province. The two leaders also emphasized the importance, again, of fighting terrorists in Syria, of fighting terrorists in that province, and as well of the territorial sovereignty of Syria. Now, of course, as one expert who I spoke to ahead of these talks said, there have been ceasefires in Idlib before. The question is really whether this one will actually last.
And that was Emily Sherwin there reporting from Moscow. Well, foreign ministers from the European Union met today in the Croatian capital Zagreb to discuss the situation in Syria. Our EU correspondent, Georg Matas, he is on the story for us tonight. He joins me now from Zagreb. Good evening to you, Georg. So how did the ceasefire agreement, how did it go down in Zagreb where you are?
Any ceasefire that eases the suffering of the people in Syria will be welcomed, is what a high diplomat just told me here in Zagreb. So overall, Minister content with what they see, but as Emily just pointed out, a number of details will just still have to be hammered out. We'll have to see within the next couple of days, and ministers will look into that when they meet again on Friday here in Zagreb, very closely into the details of this agreement, and they do hope that it will be sustainable.
Yeah, there's a ceasefire, Georg. Is there an EU plan for how the situation in Idlib can be improved?
Well, the European Union already yesterday announced an extra 170 million euros to financial aid for aid organizations in Syria. 60 million of these will be directly targeting people in Idlib. So there is extra financial aid on the table. And then a number of ministers here said, for instance, that they would be strongly in favor of a no-fly zone. Knowing, of course, and the High Representative, the Foreign Policy Chief Borrell, for instance, made clear that he knows, of course, very well that any such resolution for a no-fly zone would have to go via the United Nations and would need Russia to agree to something like that.
We know, Georg, that Turkey has always called for support from the European Union and from NATO for Erdogan's policies in Syria. Do you think now that we are closer to seeing the Europeans backing Erdogan in Idlib?
One number of foreign ministers said that one has to recognize that Erdogan is dealing with a lot of refugees, some 4 million refugees and migrants from other parts of that region. And so that is why there is aid, a lot of money going already into aid organizations in Turkey to help Erdogan. What the German foreign minister today ruled out is direct financial aid, something Erdogan wanted from Europe to the Turkish state. He said that money will not come. And it's also unclear whether the European Commission may put some extra money on the table for Turkish aid organizations. So that is unclear. What is very clear is that the European Union made clear that migratory pressure cannot be used to blackmail the European Union.
All right, our correspondent Georg Matas on the story for us tonight in Zagreb. Georg, thank you.
Okay, so and I also have a video about a universal basic income experiment where like 500 people were chosen in a town to get I think it's 500 people chosen to get $500 a month, and to see how it is that for 18 months and see what it is that they do with their money and stuff. I have a video about that. I have a video about, there's a U.S. aircraft carrier just docked in Vietnam. It's always impressive if you've never seen a U.S. aircraft carrier up close dock somewhere. It's like a giant fucking skyscraper. So it's always very impressive, but I think that it's just being done to provoke China and irritate China. So because China's having issues with Vietnam, and the Pentagon wants to make certain that China knows not to be fucking with Vietnam or something, would be my guess. And then I have, the International Criminal Court is finally opening investigations of war crimes in Afghanistan. They're investigating the Afghan government, they're investigating the Taliban, and they're investigating the Pentagon, or the U.S. government, for war crimes. So, hopefully, we will actually be able to label some 3 commander-in-chiefs war criminals, even though I wouldn't hesitate to label them that now. And a whole lot more than just the 3 of them, but the last 3 for sure. This war based on choice in Iraq is you can get out of it, and you're not getting out of it. And it adds nothing to anyone's life. All it does is fuck up our world. And I'm tired of our money, U.S. taxpayer money, being used to fuck up our world. Because this is all our world. Everybody, you and I and everybody. And they act like, oh no, we're going to go fuck that shit up. And that doesn't affect anybody but, those people. It doesn't work that way. We're all connected. Every single one of us. And if you can't see that now, more than ever, with this coronavirus thing going on and how it just spreads from one to the next, to the next, to the next, that's because we're all connected. This is why I say we have to look out for the least amongst us. It's not because I'm going to benefit from that. I don't want anything from the government. I probably qualify for food stamps right now for a long, long time. And I don't want anything from them. I don't like this government, and to me it would feel like I was making a deal with the devil, and I'm not going to sell my soul for a few dollars worth of food every month, you know. So I want our good name. All of us, the working class people of the world. I don't want there to be these stupid wars in our names anymore, because the wars are committed in your name, in your good name. And I'm tired of it, and I know you are, and they benefit no one except for the super rich. And all the money that could be being used to make the world this amazing place, to make the United States this amazing place, instead is being spent on war. And that's just disgusting. We deserve better. My name's Mike, this is my YouTube page, and this is your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see, I got, are you ready for another video? Or, you know, is that where we should go next? I guess so. We'll do another video next then. I want to do that International Criminal Court investigating Afghan war crimes. That seems like the place to go. Because again, these are the kind of videos, I'm not trying to show you these videos that you're seeing everywhere about this same subject that everyone's talking about. I'm trying to make sure that you know what's happening today. And I think I do a pretty good job of that.
International Criminal Court appeals judges ruled Thursday that an investigation into alleged war crimes in Afghanistan can move forward. In late 2017, the ICC's prosecutor requested opening an investigation into war crimes in Afghanistan committed by the Taliban, Afghan National Security Forces, and U.S. military and intelligence personnel. The ICC rejected the request in 2019, saying it based its decision mainly on the changing political scene in Afghanistan since the preliminary examination began in 2006, as well as a lack of cooperation from involved parties and costs. Prosecutors later appealed that decision, arguing the ICC judges overstepped their powers. On Thursday, the appeals judges agreed, pointing out that the court has jurisdiction in this case since Afghanistan is a member. Both the U.S. and Afghanistan are opposed to the ICC's investigation. Since the U.S. is not a member of the ICC, it's unlikely any American suspects will appear before the court if they're charged. A law passed by Congress in 2002 actually prevents the U.S. from cooperating with ICC investigations.
Okay, so and I thought that was important because, you know, because war crimes are being committed, and they're being committed in our name, and it just has to stop. It's just, I mean, again, who wants these wars, and what is it that they accomplish? Because as far as I can tell, what's being done right now in Iraq, in Syria, in Afghanistan is creating an enemy that did not exist before we went into Iraq and Syria and Afghanistan. Okay, before that, there was no threat there. There was nothing. And now those places have been turned into training grounds for terrorists. And not just that, people who have nothing left but to get revenge. You understand? They have nothing left. And so this enemy who has nothing left but vengeance has been created. And that's what the Pentagon, that was the goal of the Pentagon. So if anybody ever tells you that the Pentagon is a complete failure, they're wrong. They have accomplished their goal, and they now have an enemy that did not exist before. They now have one that they can fight for generations to come. Fight and profiteer from for generations to come. Because blowback is a real thing. And it's coming this way. Hard. So, let's see. So, okay, you guys want to see the video about the Universal Basic Income study? I have that. I have the aircraft carrier pulling into, and I also have the Supreme Court has made a stay of execution for a guy in Alabama who the Alabama government refuses to listen to evidence that's been presented by a police officer that says that the guy who's sitting on death row to be executed has nothing to do with the crime, and the Alabama government doesn't care. They're saying, nope, that we found this guy guilty. He's going to fucking die. And so the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court has granted a stay of execution, which means they're going to review the case and see if there should be a different outcome, I guess. And they've granted a stay so that another court can review the case, perhaps. But either way, I thought it was an important story. And again, this shows people like Amy Klobuchar, who is a prosecutor. This shows why you don't want to vote for cops. Okay? Cops are supposed to be the heroes, the bastion for truth, the protectors of justice. Okay? And here they are trying to kill this guy, execute, take away his life for something they know he's not even guilty of. And that's the way justice works in this country. See you, Ash. Thanks for tuning in, bro. All right, so I'm going to play that video for you now, and that is, the stay of execution. That was important, a good thing that happened today. I just can't, can you imagine sitting on death row for 20 years for something that you had nothing to do with?
Stand by. We have breaking news coming into the Situation Room right now. The United States Supreme Court has just granted a stay of a controversial execution that was scheduled to take place within minutes, right at the top of the hour in Alabama. CNN's Martin Savage has been working this story for us. Martin, tell our viewers what has just happened, because I know 24 hours ago you had a very important report on this case right here in the Situation Room.
Right, we're talking about Nathaniel Woods. He's the 44-year-old man who was accused as a co-conspirator in the murders of 3 Birmingham, Alabama police officers back in 2004. He was scheduled to die, as you say, just minutes from now at the top of the hour, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. local. But roughly just 5 minutes ago, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a temporary stay. It's essentially a safeguard to make sure, as the U.S. Supreme Court reviews all of the documents and takes one last look at all of the proceedings here, that the execution would not go forward in the meantime. So what the U.S. Supreme Court does, and it does this frequently, is to issue a temporary stay. It remains in place as long as they think they need to sort of look over all of this. So it could be lifted in a matter of minutes. It could be lifted in a matter of hours. We simply have to wait and see. That order was signed by Justice Clarence Thomas. So that's where it stands right now. Everyone here, of course, the supporters and those who have backed and worked so hard on his legal team, clearly holding their breath And of course, that includes his family as well.
Yeah,
Wolf.
Nathaniel Woods, 42 years old. Minutes from now, he was scheduled to be executed, but the Supreme Court, Joey Jackson is joining us, our legal analyst. Joey, I'm looking at the Supreme Court decision, Nathaniel Woods, applicant versus Jefferson Dunn, Commissioner, Alabama Department of Corrections et al. The order says, upon consideration of the application of counsel for the applicant, it is ordered that execution of the sentence of death is hereby stayed pending further order of the undersigned or the court, signed by Clarence Thomas, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. This is a very significant moment, Joey.
It's a very significant moment, and we have to understand that the death penalty is something that's final and binding. And as a result of that, the Supreme Court is going to weigh in to ensure that we get it right. Now, of course, the other apply for relief was to the governor. The governor has the ability not to have the execution move forward. In the absence of the governor not doing so, the Supreme Court, in light of someone being sentenced to death, right? And we know the case is controversial. We know he was not the shooter. We know there are issues concerning his criminal responsibility, whether he had anything at all to do with the shooting, whether he even knew that the person who fired the shot was going to do so. And so I think it's the measure that makes the most sense. Examine all the facts. We know that, certainly Martin Luther King's son has even weighed in on it, suggesting that Alabama was about to execute an innocent person. And I think it's the right call pending further review based upon the finality of something like death, where once someone dies, it's over. So I think the Supreme Court did the right thing under the circumstances.
And Jeff Zeleny is still with us. I think it was significant, Jeff, that Clarence Thomas, one of the most conservative justices on the U.S. Supreme Court, signed this temporary stay.
It certainly is significant. I mean, anytime a Clarence Thomas weighs in, of course, we take a little bit of extra notice on this. It is significant. He has not signed a significant number of these, of course. So it's certainly, moments before something like this happens, always significant. And as Joey was saying, this is final and binding. We do not know how long this stay will last. Of course, this is something that it could be moments, it could be for a longer period of time, but definitely a pause here that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas thought was necessary. And he does not act out of, this is not something he normally does. This is very significant here as we learn more about this case.
What do you think, David Swerlick?
Yeah, the Supreme Court weighing in here at the 11th hour suggests to me that opportunity was given for the governor to exercise his power. Governor didn't. Supreme Court is taking a look. And as Jeff said, and as we've discussed so far, this is a temporary stay. The facts will be reviewed. The law will be reviewed. This doesn't mean that his conviction changes. It means whether or not the state should exercise this final, ultimate act of government authority, taking someone's life. The Supreme Court says, let's wait just a minute.
Martin Savage is still with us. Your excellent report here in the Situation Room 24 hours ago may have played a role in all of this. But remind our viewers what has happened since then, because I understand you spoke to the individual who's on death row himself, who actually fired the shots, killing those 3 police officers.
Right, that's Kerry Spencer, and he is the man who said almost from the moment when he was arrested back in 2004 that he was the one who opened fire on the police officers. He admitted that he was the trigger man there. He said it was a spontaneous act, and he made sure to point out that Nathaniel Woods, he said, knew nothing of what was going to happen, didn't know that he was going to open fire. In fact, he said it was lucky that Woods even survived because he was in the very same room that the police officers were that were killed. So he has maintained from the beginning this was not some sort of co-conspiracy here. He said that Woods was totally unaware of what was going to happen. And so that is not what the state has maintained, though. They have put forward at the trial, they said that, no, they were co-conspirators. And even though Woods did not fire any shots, he was equally culpable under the law. In other words, equally responsible. In fact, they said that he was part of a plot, that Woods helped lure the officers into the house where they were shot and killed. And of course, that is what Woods' legal team absolutely denies. They just say he was a man who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well,
this is my friend Sam's drone video, and this is Magnuson Park. This is one of the main places that we go to walk the dogs. when we go somewhere, we usually walk them right along that waterfront right there, and they go swimming. Oh, I think I have video of that. Let me see. Doggy park. Is that the doggy park? No, that's the... Wait a minute. That's the doggy park? Yeah, there it is. There's the video of us at Magnuson. And that's my Boo Bear going for a swim right there in the lake where the drone video was just showing you. Isn't he a beautiful baby? Isn't he a beautiful baby? What a beautiful baby. He's my beautiful baby. Come here, beautiful baby. I don't know what he's doing. But he's a great boy. I'm a lucky guy to have him in my life. He's my beautiful baby. What a good boy. What a good boy. And that's that lake right there. That's that lake where he was just swimming. We haven't been there for a while. I bet you he'd like to go for a swim. I bet you he would love that. Because the girl, even more, when we got the girl, right, they're brother and sister from the same litter, and when we got her, we got her 3 years after we got him, like 2.5, 3 years after we got him, because she was with the ex, right? So, and then the ex called and said, I can't keep the dog, or whatever. So anyways, we got her, and we got her, she was not having anything to do with the water, man. She just like, nope. And then as she saw, Rufus having fun in the water, she just started, she'd go out, to where she could still touch the ground, and she'd walk around in the water. But now she just goes and swims all over the place. She didn't chase a ball, but she swim all over the place, which is cool. Oh yeah, let's see. I think this is it's a really nice park. It's down by the water. It used to be like an Air Force base or something. If you look at it on the Google Maps, you can still see like the old airstrips and stuff. There was a lot of that stuff on Lake Washington, from what I understand, in this area. That's Lake Washington right there. Okay, so we got that video, right, state of execution. Okay, so I have 2 videos left, besides the fucking tiger video. I have the fucking tiger video still, because there's a tiger. There's no tiger. I don't see a fucking tiger. What are you talking about? Fucking tiger. Let's see. That's the same lake, different view. Let's see. So, and then we got the fucking tiger video. Got to cross that off. And we have a universal basic income study where, like, I think they said 500 people received. It might have been 1,500. I'm not sure, but they received $500 a month for 18 months. To see what they would spend the money on and stuff, just give it to them. They were drawn out of a hat. They picked a town and then draw the people's names out of a hat, from what I understand, which is kind of a cool story. And I have again the aircraft carrier. See up there in the top corner up there where there's like a little section and there's like all those ants running around up there. Down there, that's the right there, that's the doggy park. That's the fenced off area of the doggy park. It's pretty nice doggy park. Not the best, but it's kind of, cool. What's up, caller?
Michael, this is not Steve McClanahan calling. This is your producer from the road.
Hey, everybody's been asking, where's Craig?
I am on the road because I had to go way down into southern Washington. I almost called Chris since I passed through Olympia tonight. I was going to go buy him a cup of coffee, but I thought, you know what? Short notice and all, we'll save a trip down to Olympia to visit Chris when you can come along. But I was at a marijuana farm, and there is a really cool, big, fancy outdoor farm in southern Washington that it's no different than any of them. I can't give away any locations, obviously, but they're having me upgrade their security, which is cool. But, yeah, I was down there at that place, and I know how you're shooting video from the drone. I have my drive cam going, and I think what I'm going to do, since it's an undiscernible country road that I drove on for like miles and miles to get out into the boonies, without giving away anything specific, I think we can use that video and have like a smooth country road driving video through all these huge trees and forests, and like, I mean, we're down by the river, and we're like, I just was out kind of on these far out rural roads, and I thought, you know what? Since the drive cam captures all that out the front window of the car, I think your viewers would totally dig that.
Right on. That sounds pretty cool.
I heard you mention something earlier about your video of Sam's.
Yeah.
That is actually Myrtle Edwards Park, because you'll see the grain terminal in there. That is not the North Queen Anne. That is the South Queen Anne slope, and that is Myrtle Edwards Park, where we also walk the dogs when they were younger, when we take them down at night for the night walks along that there, because you got Space Needle and everything in the background too. But yeah, we got to get some more drone video from Sam.
Yeah.
Like some really impressive stuff, like Snoqualmie Falls, and maybe up in the Cascade Mountains and whatnot. But
that's the Myrtle Edwards Park video that he's talking about right there. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, so I just thought I'd give you a quick shout. Since tomorrow is kind of a delayed morning for me, I got the itchy fingers to go be the Dice King, so I had a little fun down south. I stopped in down there, and I'm up $60.
Nice.
So I'm heading north to go fuck around at Angel of the Winds and throw some dice for a little while tonight. So
all right,
I'm gonna go hit the craps tables and see if I can.
If you hit that other place, pick me up a pizza.
Oh yeah, no doubt. We got some on the way back. So
and if you're not doing anything in the morning, I need to go get water real bad.
Yeah, we should probably make a quick trip to the store and see what's up. I do have a follow-up visit at the other retail cannabis shop, because they just got the badass upgrade to like massively fortified security, and I gotta go do through the familiarization with the owners tomorrow. So
cool.
That is happening. But yeah, I just didn't want you to wonder why your board operator was absentee and I didn't like die of the coronavirus out here. So something interesting you might find is today, people that made that handshake gesture stopped themselves short and either bumped elbows or wanted a fist bump instead to like say, hey, thanks for stopping in. So the handshake during this outbreak is a thing of the past. People are being mindful, and everywhere I went, there was hand sanitizer out at all locations. People are being super careful about it.
I'm kissing everybody on the lips like I'm from France. Mwah.
There you go. The thing that I noticed, and I was at a doc in the Kirkland area that does optometry, I asked him, are you concerned about this since you're kind of in this general area? And he's like, he thinks they've got the outbreak moderately contained to the people that were affected by that nursing home. The thing they have there is they can't trace back the origin of where it even originated from the first person who was infected. Like, did a member of that nursing home have a relative who came back from China or was maybe, over, because the first infection was over 6 weeks ago at that nursing home. And that's what's weird is all these supposed 70 infections all have ties back to that one nursing home itself. So it's not like it's rampantly all over Seattle, but if those 70 people don't keep themselves contained and they're not doing a good job of keeping the containment of the treatment, that's where we're going to see a problem, I think. But anyway.
Well, that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying all along. It's a leadership. It's a leadership issue. If the leaders aren't being strong leaders and taking the precautions that we need to take, it's really not a matter of the people washing their hands enough.
So, what did you think of Mike Pence's repeated rambling? Sound like a broken record. I can't tell you anything, but I'm going to try and tell you. You have support of the government, but I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah, I have that video. I actually rendered it. I just haven't got to upload it yet. It's I think it's what I said is that Mike Pence just fills me with fucking utter confidence, that overwhelming confidence that this is being handled so professionally.
Clear to me that this man will never run for president because I don't find any consolation or any comfort or reassurance from his speech.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
what my mind is.
Yeah, go.
Just go ahead.
Go, you go.
No, I say his situation, the way he speaks about it. I mean, maybe I'm being a stickler for pronunciation. Nobody contracted the virus. Contracting is what you do when you go out and you kind of deal to make a living or whatever. For those of you that contracted the virus, he said, I'm like, how many years in government? Is this an educated man who understands the English language and how to pronounce words? There's a difference between contracting something and contracting, and I know it's the same spelling and it's pretty much the same word, but it's for how it means. But anyway, I don't know. This guy is certainly not gonna.
The thing is, Craig. The thing is, Craig, is like how Trump likes to call people low energy. That guy is just like the most fucking zero charisma, no energy human being I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's sad. It's the first time I've really seen him try to speak on anything, and all it can remind me of is the joke that Ronald Reagan made. I'm from the government and we're here to help.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. You have the full support of the U.S. government. All I can think of is bring on the tanks, bring on the National Guard. Martial law has been put in place. Everybody into the quarantine now.
This is not a drill.
We're going to march you to the oven. Washington, you're infected. You must die now.
Those of you out after curfew will be shot.
Exactly. All right, man. Well, unfortunately, we're not running on Periscope because I've never showed you how to set up the dual stream.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll talk.
If anybody wants the Periscope, we can always roll it back and replay.
Yeah. All right, Craig. Thanks for calling. We'll talk again soon. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Yeah, if you're going up there, make sure and grab me a pie. Oh, he goes to this one casino and they have like fucking yummy pizza, man. And I mean, it is fucking yummy the next day. It is fucking amazing. So anyways, he goes there and gets me a pizza because he gets all these credits because he likes to roll the dice, right? So he gets credit, like this is the casino where they take us to get the where do they get us? He took me and Sam, the guy who shot this video, he took us to steak dinner there a couple weeks ago, a month ago or so, and that was very nice. Man, they had this giant wheel of cheese, right? It's about 3 feet in diameter, I'd say, and they split it in half, and then they dig a hole in the center of it, and then they bring noodles out to your table side, and they heat the noodles up with some olive oil and garlic and stuff, and they put that in the cheese wheel, and then they toss this hot noodles in the cheese, and then they plate that up, and man, is that good. Especially when it's free. So I don't want to miss out on a free pizza, even if it is a coronavirus pizza. Don't want to miss out on one because they're so yummy. Let's see. So that's what's going on. If anybody was wondering, I thought Craig was here. Actually, I thought that he showed up and was because I thought that was partially why Rufus isn't in the room, because Rufus goes to say hi to Craig when he gets home. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How about you, Chris?
I'm doing all right. It started to rain Feels nice. The air is very clean. I'm having a fairly good evening, all said and done. I found, I noticed that Craig just mentioned Mike Pence not really being a good leader or an efficient leader.
Well, to me, he doesn't instill confidence in any way. Because when I listen to him, when they put him in charge, and I watch this shit pretty close, and there is zero confidence coming from Mike Pence that they are in control of this situation at all. Go ahead.
I don't think they're in control of this situation, and I understand what Craig said about it's just 70 people being contained, and maybe it's just from one facility. But from what I've understood, only 200 people have been tested. So we haven't really tested the general population, and we don't know to what extent it's already been spreading in the past 4 weeks. So
yeah,
I'm imagining it's all over the place. And
and they keep shutting down schools. They keep shutting down schools and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that the people that they're concerned about in the schools weren't going to that nursing home. So go ahead.
Well, Washingtonians have a rugged individualism, I've noticed. And out in community today, I noticed people almost intentionally avoiding thinking about coronavirus, but just going about their business normally. And I don't know, that troubles me a little bit that people are intentionally avoiding the subject because it is real, I think. There was something I wanted to talk about the election, because Craig also mentioned about language and words and using words properly. There was an article by Caitlin Johnstone, Johnstone, and if you could pull it up later or read it later, I'd really recommend it. It's called "Stop Calling It a Stutter. Here are dozens of examples of Joe Biden's dementia symptoms." And it's a fascinating article because she says, in addition to Joe Biden's problems being an establishment Democrat and all of the policies that are associated with him, people are ignoring the fact that his cognitive abilities have been deteriorating, and it's been very visible to anybody who's been paying attention. And she proceeds, she says that since this argument has been made, people have defended Joe Biden by saying that he has a problem speaking, that he stutters, and that's an excuse for his using the wrong words or saying inappropriate things. So she actually goes to the Mayo Clinic's list of what they use to determine a stammer and lists like the 10 criteria of stammering. And then she lists what the 10 criteria of dementia symptoms are. And I'll read this really quick. This is what dementia is. Memory loss, which is usually noticed by a spouse or someone else. Difficulty communicating or finding words. Difficulty with visual and spatial abilities, such as getting lost while driving. Difficulty reasoning or problem solving. Difficulty handling complex tasks. Difficulty with planning and organization. Difficulty with coordination and motor functions. And confusion and disorientation. She then posts a link to a video that shows President Trump ridiculing Sleepy Joe. And President Trump uses a couple of these examples at a rally, just describing how Joe Biden was completely out of touch with reality when he was either speaking on a stage or with a reporter. I think it's kind of interesting. If the guy has dementia, I don't know if he should be running for president, right?
Well, again, I've said, I've used the term his brain isn't working right over and over again because, I'm not a doctor and I can't make that diagnosis, but it's obvious to me that his brain is not working right, and that should be a disqualifying feature.
I would think that your brain has to be working right. And in fact, there's nothing pejorative about having dementia. It's something that When a person has dementia, you have sympathy with that person, and you want them to be in good hands. But you don't want them to have more responsibility than they're actually capable of administering. So she has 30 examples, and every single example, Mike, is backed up with like a 30-second to 2-minute video. So you can see the words in writing, and then you can see him actually speaking the words to highlight her point that it isn't just him stuttering. He's very disoriented. When he says things like, made then dropped, claim he was arrested in South Africa while trying to visit Nelson Mandela in prison. When he said he was looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. When he said 1976 and he really meant 2014. When he said he was vice president during the Parkland shooting. When he confused New Hampshire and Nevada. When he was in Vermont and he thought he was in New Hampshire. Implementing a child care tax credit that would put 720 million women back in the workforce. When he said he would fix the problem of violence against women by punching at it and punching at it and punching at it. I'll stop. All right. But
no,
he's
look,
going to have some.
His brain doesn't work right, and it is not funny that his brain doesn't work right. And I don't think it's anything new that his brain doesn't work right. I think it's been going on for quite some time. Go ahead.
It's funny like a Terry Gilliam movie, okay? Or it's funny like a dystopic novel. It's funny like with a real dark sense of irony that the Democratic Party has chosen a person who doesn't have all of his mental faculties, but has always wanted to be president, and is pushing this person forward to represent the party for a variety of reasons. One, to not give Bernie Sanders credit, also to push a corporate tool, and like you said, even if he loses to Trump, that even works out for the Democrats as well. But it's ironic, again, that anybody would vote for this party if he is the candidate. It's kind of sad, right? Americans voting for person who probably isn't even all there, you know, isn't present.
It's beyond sad. It's incredibly fucking stupid. Okay, if the Democratic Party can't come up with somebody who's better than someone who's suffering from early onset dementia. Again, I'm not a doctor. All I know is his brain doesn't work right. I'm using the term that you said. If that's the best, if that's
Johnston uses,
if that's the best people that they can come up with, I think it makes them look horrible. It makes them look like there's something wrong with their brains. You know?
Well, if you're going to. If it's all just fake and it's just a charade,
yeah,
many of us believe it is, at bare minimum, right, out of the tens of thousands of leaders in the Democrat Party, at least present a person who can read and think and has critical thinking skills and pretends to be a functional human being. I mean, at least extend the courtesy, right?
Yeah, I call it disappointing, but it's so much beyond disappointing. It's some kind of fucking really fucked up shit, and it's disgusting. That's
Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Elizabeth Warren today was on Rachel Maddow's show, apparently, and this is from The Hill, and talking about Bernie Sanders supporters, saying that, quote, I think that's a real problem with this online bullying and organized nastiness, said Elizabeth Warren. It just is. Quote, it was short, we talked about it, him and Bernie. I think it's a real problem, said Elizabeth Warren. This is people who are Bernie Sanders supporting Medicare for all, supporting ending the drug war, supporting $15 an hour for minimum wage, the policies of Bernie Sanders. And for arguing for those points, they're called poor sports, online bullies, and trolls. And this is the person, Elizabeth Warren, right?
Yeah.
Who was supposed to be a progressive,
right?
Telling the media that people who supported Bernie Sanders they're not very nice people.
Yeah.
That's telling to me. It's also telling to me that in the Los Angeles Times today, Bernie Sanders says that he would honor a Biden delegate lead if there was a contested convention. That is interesting as well.
I think he's just saying certain things that he has to say at this moment. I think somehow if he was to like say, oh, I'm not going to, it's not going to matter who has the most delegates, then, there's something there that he can be in breach of contract or something. So he just has to fucking play it out until we get to that moment. And he understands it far better than you or I. So we have to trust that. Go ahead.
I think his best chance, Mike, is in the debate next week. I think that might be his last stand. And I'm kind of surprised that I saw in Salon magazine, which is just a pretty much vanilla Democratic magazine, and they say Bernie Sanders has one shot. He must make the case that Joe Biden is not electable. And they base their article on policy, like his attacks on civil liberties, his opposition to desegregation, Anita Hill, the war on drugs, mass incarceration. And the magazine is saying that Sanders really needs to just go hard and shred Biden, who even can't defend himself because he doesn't have all of his mental faculties, even though he is a conservative. That's what they're suggesting. So that kind of is alarming to me, that the center of the Democrat Party isn't even going to Biden, and they're even concerned about Biden going to the election.
Well, if you want 4 more years of Trump, and then Biden is your guy. And you know what? I'll tell you right now, Donald Trump can have 1 million people die between now and the election from this coronavirus, and still, if Joe Biden is the nominee, he'll beat him hands down. Just like a fucking, just horrible. So I don't understand, and the Democrats have to know that. All these people, I posted a video a couple weeks ago where it was like, the quote was, the party elders knows what's best, right? And this is the whole thing. If Joe Biden is what's best for the party elders, then Donald Trump is what they want reelected, because like you said, like Salon Magazine said, like Caitlin said, Joe Biden is unelectable, and it's going to be made totally clear by Donald Trump, which is why Bernie Sanders has to make it clear, because if he doesn't, then he's doing a disservice to every voter in America who doesn't want Donald Trump for another 4 years.
Or a change in direction, something different. Yeah, we're screwed. There were 2 drug articles, real quick, that I found that were links from Stop the Drug War. And one of the articles was about, it's a link to the New York Post. It says the president of Honduras took bribes to protect cocaine kingpin, feds say. It's from 2 days ago. It says Honduran president agreed to shield a drug trafficker from prosecution and offered to let him use the country's armed services for security in exchange for a $25,000 bribe. Pretty cheap. Prosecutors in Manhattan federal court alleged Tuesday the president, Juan Hernandez, met with the alleged drug pen Giovanni Ramirez on several occasions in 2013, according to court documents. Ramirez was arrested by DEA on Sunday in Florida and charged with a weapons violation and conspiring to import cocaine in New York on Tuesday. In their meetings, Hernandez allegedly spoke to Ramirez about the cocaine laboratory he developed near a commercial shipping port in the country after he turned over the $25,000 prosecutors alleged. And at that laboratory, they processed kilos, hundreds and hundreds of kilos of cocaine, and the facility was protected by armed guards from the president with AK-47s. Didn't hear anything about that in the news until this afternoon.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that at all. But you know, this, I mean, it sounds like a dirty story to me. You know, $25,000 to put your presidency on the line. You know, there's some kind of bullshit
cheap,
going
isn't
on
it?
there. You
That's
would
really
think that if these guys have stockpiles of fucking pallets full of $100 bills, don't know where they're going to keep all the fucking money that they have, the cash, that, yeah, getting rid of, you know, maybe a couple $100,000 to make sure the guy's on board would make a lot more sense.
I found an article about the president that they named, the person who is the president of Honduras. And he has been president of Honduras since 2013. So he has been president for like 6 or 7 years now of Honduras. And the article that I read, which was like from 2016 and from The Guardian, said that he immediately put money into private security and to military. So it seems like it is a corrupt government, but it only was created because the Clinton-Obama administration, Obama, you know, helped overthrow the government of Zelaya in 2009 or 2010. And ever since that moment in time, crime has been rampant in Honduras. So we overthrew a government, and after we overthrew that government, you know, these horrible people just kind of float to the top and do things like have cocaine laboratories near commercial shipping ports. You know?
And this is the main reason that South America is so fucked, is because of the drug war. Is because of this game playing, like, you know, somehow, you know, we create this giant black market in the United States that has, you know, billions and billions and billions of dollars in cash to freely flow to whoever can fucking get their hands on it. And you know, and people have been growing cocaine there in these places for generations and generations. You know, it's what they know. It's the family business. Obviously, it doesn't work to have this big giant war where we fucking, you know, we spend billions of dollars in South of America. If not, we must have spent trillions of dollars there by now on this bullshit drug war. On this bullshit drug war, and it just, and what has it got us, right? South America is a fucking wreck with criminals and drug labs fucking everywhere. You know, it's just a mess.
It is a mess. It served a function, though, right? Because when you have governments like in Venezuela, or like in Bolivia, or you have governments in Chile that are opposed to like just being a part of American corporate empire, and they want to redistribute the resources for themselves, those governments are not allowed to exist. They have to be dismantled and destroyed. And the drug war is just a good reason, another reason that the people in Washington, D.C. have to destabilize a government or to support a right-wing government to catch all of the drug dealers like in the Philippines or in Colombia. So we have a tendency to support the worst governments. We always have. Like, that's part of our history.
I agree. And if it's not the worst government and we don't control, and the fact is that we don't just support them, we control them wholeheartedly, and they're the worst governments on the planet. So what does that make our government, right?
It makes our government a refuge for dictators, because after their governments are overthrown, they typically move to South Florida. I mean, that's pretty much the truth. So when the people took over in Nicaragua, and the people took over in Cuba, the people who had owned all of the land and worked with the CIA, they moved to Washington, D.C. and to Miami. They moved here.
Yeah, I agree. And it's... And again, this is the thing: is these people in Washington D.C. are the worst kind of criminals. They're the biggest threat to our personal freedom, obviously. Not ISIS, not China, not Russia, not Iran. The people in Washington, D.C. are the biggest threat to our personal freedom, most obviously. And they don't have the slightest bit of respect for us, and they're all criminal, and it's just a disgusting bullshit, and we deserve better. I mean, I know that I say it all the time, but there's good people in this country who do everything they're supposed to do to have, you know, a fair life, to be able to live their lives and not have problems. They work hard to make it happen, and all they get is shit. All they get for representation is shit, and I'm so sick of it. You know, I want better for the good people of this country and this planet, because we can really make a great place out of this planet. It really is a great, amazing place. And for whatever reason, there's sick, disgusting, evil people in charge. And the last thing they want is for you to have a paradise that you live in. Go ahead, Chris.
That's absolutely true, Mike. And I know it's true on a micro level and a macro level. Like, I was pretty horrified listening to Dow Constantine talk yesterday on Como for the live broadcast. You know, Jay Inslee never really says anything to address the matter. It's all just gobbledygook, study, wait, and look. Never makes any sense.
I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy.
Even the mayor of my own city is very similar. She's very supportive of like gentrification and development, pro-growth, pro-development, you know, disregarding the people who live in her community. On every level that I see it, the people in charge, as far as I can tell, are corrupt and are non-responsive to the people. And until nothing is going to be resolved in the next 8 months in this election. If Bernie Sanders is the candidate, it'll be interesting. It's true. Remember last week we were saying, what if Michael Bloomberg was the candidate? That would be interesting to see two plutocrats against each other. But it's just, Biden against Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, are you fucking kidding me? That's like the change? Those are the choices? I mean, that isn't even like vanilla and chocolate. You know, that's like vanilla, that's like chocolate and like chocolate.
Yeah,
they're not even different. I'm going to listen to other people's calls. Thank you for taking my call, and I hope other people go to the either Caitlin Johnstone's Twitter account. All of those videos are listed there, or her website, because there's 30 videos listed, and they're little snippets, 2 minutes long, showing Joe Biden making these ridiculous statements, out of context, irrelevant statements. It's silly, and nobody calls him on it at all. So I hope other listeners check that out, and I'm going to listen to other callers.
Yeah, well, thanks for the input there, Chris, and I think that that's a worthy look for everybody, too. So I agree. Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night, Mike.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye. And that's our buddy Chris from Olympia. He is well within the quarantine zone. So we're at ground zero here for whatever's going to happen. But I can hear, that the coronavirus is a main concern for him, a big concern for him. But I also hear that he's keeping a positive attitude and marching forward without fear. Because the fear doesn't, regardless of what it is that's going to happen, the fear's not going to add anything. It's not going to make you smarter. It's not going to make you be more intelligent. It's meant to make you. Basically, fear is meant to be an instantaneous adrenaline rush, which allows you to decide immediately if you need to fight or run. That's all fear is about. It's not this constant nagging thing that's, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Which so many people seem to walk around with every moment of every day. All right, so I want to show you this aircraft carrier pulling into harbor in Vietnam.
In other news, a U.S. nuclear-powered aircraft carrier has arrived in Vietnam amid China's military buildup in the South China Sea. Analysts say the U.S. and Vietnam are trying to use the port call to boost cooperation and keep China in check. The USS Theodore Roosevelt's visit is only the second by a U.S. carrier to the Asian nation since the end of the Vietnam War. The first port call took place in 2018. The U.S. Pacific Fleet commander on Thursday described the relationship between the U.S. and Vietnam as extremely important. He noted the port call marks 25 years since the countries established diplomatic relations.
We are committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific, and the Vietnamese relationship allows for sovereign, prosperous Vietnam alongside the United States.
Washington is increasingly concerned about Beijing's militarization of the South China Sea. In January, the U.S. Navy sailed a warship through disputed waters in the area in what it called a freedom of navigation operation. Vietnam lodged a protest against China last year, saying a Chinese survey ship and escort vessels conducted unlawful activities in its exclusive economic zone in the South China Sea.
I'm back. Yes, I'm back. Look who's back. Yes, I'm back. That's Ballard. So anyways, this provoking China and, I just so tired of all this posturing for war, I don't see how this is what the people want, is war. I don't know what people it is that want war. It's not something that I'll ever understand. Okay, so I have one more video. It is about an experiment for this one town where they picked, I don't know if it was like 1,000 people or 500 people, but they picked anonymously out of a hat 500 people to give a universal basic income of $500 every month to see what they would do with it for 18 months. And I thought that was a pretty good story and that you guys might just be interested in that. So I'm going to play that for you here.
How does this sound? $500 a month, completely free. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, some lucky residents in Stockton, California, this is no fantasy, this is reality. They're getting that cash in an 18-month experiment to see how a universal basic income could help people living below the poverty line. It's called SEED, the Stockton Economic Empowerment Demonstration. Could this be a lasting change? Is it a good idea? Suki Samra, the director of SEED, and Tomas Vargas joins me now. Tomas, you're one of the residents who was lucky enough, it was a random selection, to get $500 a month. I mean, what does this money do for you every month?
What it does for me, it opens up a lot of doors for me. It also helped me with my stress level. I used to get stressed out and worried a lot. Now I'm more calm and happier.
Right. I mean, this would be a dream come true for so many people sitting at home listening to this, but it runs out in July. This was an experiment. Suki, what happens then? How does this work?
Sure. So our program is 18 months, ends in July of 2020. Our research continues until December of 2020, and our final report will come out in spring of 2021. And our hope is that our data, combined with our stories of folks like Tomas, really pushes policy at the state and national level, and that we see more and more elected and progressive leaders advocating for that income floor, whether it's in the form of a guaranteed income or some other close variation.
So, Tomas, you hear that. Being that story, what is universal income? What would it do for so many people in the same position as you?
It gives them opportunity. It gives them a chance to sit there and not have to worry about the next check or worry about if they're going to still have a job at times. It opens up just a broad opportunity.
Suki, I don't doubt that there's somebody sitting at home right now saying, wait a second, you know, I'm probably going to be the one that would have to pay for something like that, higher taxes. Right now, I know you're funded through nonprofits, higher taxes, and many of them in middle class would say, you know, I need $500 a month as well. What do you say to them?
Sure. I would say first, I think that we're already paying for poverty when we're really looking at universal basic income as a tool for equity, and we're looking at the things that our country already pays for. The cost of childhood poverty exceeds billions of dollars a year and the associated costs. And so it's really about fundamentally rethinking about how we can use policy tools as a way to be preventative rather than reactive. And there's a number of ways in which we can fund the basic income at the national and state levels, whether we're talking about a wealth tax, we can talk about value-added tax as had been proposed by candidate Andrew Yang, we can talk about a financial transaction fee. So it's really a matter of using tools to be able to implement guaranteed income as a way for equitable policy.
Tomas, I saw you shaking your head when I asked that question. What were you thinking?
Huh?
I heard you shaking your head when I was asking that question just about what the critics may say out there. What were you thinking?
Oh, no, there's a lot of critics. A lot of people say what they don't understand. They've never been in the situation. It's opened up doors for me to where I was able to get a full-time job instead of a part-time job. I was able to help my kids for schooling, to give them tutors when I couldn't do it before. I spent a lot more time with my kids. That's a big thing that a lot of people are looking forward to.
Suki and Tomas, thank you so much for sharing your stories. We appreciate it. It's such an interesting experiment that you're doing there.
Thank you.
Well, I had...
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am?
You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
Okay, so that's all my videos for tonight. I thought we'd do some dabs in space before we go. Unless anybody wants to call, it's 805-669-6397, 805 Mox News. Operator is standing by. And Craig's talking about going to screening the calls, not so much screening them, but having somebody line up so that we can, instead of the call waiting, kicking in here, he takes the calls downstairs and then pops up on the computer and says, hey, we got this person over here on the line waiting. So we're thinking about doing that. That way we have an ability to wait, have a person waiting. Good one. All right. So, again, it's 805 Mox News, 805-669-6397. 6397 if you want to call. Otherwise, I am out of here. More or less. I'm out of videos. The main thing I think to look forward to tomorrow is apparently, as Chris was saying, on the Rachel Maddow show tonight, Elizabeth Warren was bashing Bernie Sanders supporters. Okay, now the thing about this is I didn't see the video, but I've seen lots of these people, I think including Elizabeth Warren, bashing Bernie supporters in the past. And the thing about this is that the Bernie supporters are, you know, proud Americans trying to exercise their rights. The thing they hate about the Bernie supporters is that they say, hey, what you're saying is incorrect, and here's the facts, and here's why it's incorrect. And they go, oh, you're one of those Bernie bros, you know? I mean, it's just a label thing. So, hello, caller.
Michael, this is Steve McClanahan.
Hey, Steve, you sound much more energized today.
I know, we're keeping a positive attitude. I'm hurt, though, you know? Fuck, I have a serious leg injury. I've got lacerations to my skin, and the shit is, you know, it's pretty hardcore. The chicks love it. The chicks are fucking loving it.
Super bullshit. Super bullshit. Tron said you're just being a giant pussy.
What?
That's what he said.
This shit is hardcore. This shit is really fucking hardcore. I tell you what, I have got an ace bandage on my ankle right now, and I've got some, you know, some bandages on my forearm, and it's literally very painful. I'm telling you. And then, you know what, I might have been dehydrated, you know. They had to give me a couple of bags, but you know what? After that, bing, bang, boom, we're doing it. We're doing it live, whether you like it or not. We're keeping it together. We're fucking keeping a positive fucking attitude. And you know what? You can tell Super Bullshitron that, you know what? I will kick his fucking ass, Michael, son of a bitch. I don't give a shit if he's a superhero. He's not here now. Obviously, he's back at his house. Fucking ridiculous, you fucking asshole. This shit, do you have time to hear what fucking happened? I don't think you have time.
I don't have time tonight, Steve. We'll have to try and do it earlier tomorrow.
And I have real reporting news shit to fucking handle anyways, Michael. I mean, you know, because I have a broadcasting degree. I have to do, like, literally extremely intelligent research all the fucking time to be able to bring everybody in the entire fucking universe now the news. Having been back to the moon, you know, they literally tried to keep me in the fucking hospital for a mental evaluation, Michael.
I can't believe
Seriously,
that,
they were
Steve.
like, oh, you went to the moon? And I was like, yeah, we went to the fucking moon. And,
I can't believe that, Steve.
I mean, I can't believe it either, but you know what? They let me out because you know who fucking had to call in and let everybody know the shit was extremely legit? Fucking not only call in, but Elon Musk. He was there with me, holding my hand in the room. He was like, you know how Elon talks. He doesn't really say much. He was just like, you know what? He just held my hand. He was like, Steve, that was a great achievement you did.
Yeah.
And you know what? Fucking shout out to Elon Musk. Couldn't have done it without him.
Yeah.
And the flat earther fucker, you know?
Yeah.
Fucking son of a bitch flew his rocket ship clear up into the goddamn sky. Lost his parachute. But you know what? Steve McClanahan didn't lose his parachute. Shit, I skydived like a man back down to Earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're really glad to hear that you made it, Steve.
Fucking aliens
and
stole the van
and that you're feeling better.
Moon. I'm not even kidding you, bro. We don't have a van. This shit is
feeling better,
fucked, Michael.
And I'm sure that there'll be another van soon. There always is.
There better be a fucking new van, or I'm gonna be pissed.
So don't you worry about that, and you just get yourself all nice and healed up. And I'm glad that's
serious injuries.
That's working out for you.
Stitches and shit.
Yeah, I'm glad that's working out for you. So
I'm fucking. You know what? I think I'm gonna send these to all my girls and stuff. All these injuries.
You should do that, Steve.
You know?
So
I need to be taken care of.
We look forward to hearing more about your adventure real soon, and I'm glad you're feeling better.
Hey, Michael,
and it's good to hear that you have the energy back in your voice. So you stay strong.
The phone's cutting out.
You stay strong, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Okay? Bye.
You're fucking eating really good soup?
Yes, it's the best soup I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Talk to you soon.
Love soup. All right.
I gotta get back to my soup. Bye. He hung up. I didn't hang up. Okay, so Steve McClanahan back from his moon mission, and it sounds like he's excited to tell us all about it, and hopefully we will hear all about that tomorrow night. And I hope that we see you back here tomorrow night, because we do this each and every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And tomorrow night on Fridays, we do Dabs for Donations, which is always fun. And we still have one Mox News t-shirt left to give away, an embroidered t-shirt. Embroidered. I can never get this right. Embroidered, unfair and biased Mox News t-shirt. We have one left to give away, so we'll be able to do that tomorrow, hopefully, on our Dabs for Donation Days. I look forward to seeing you there. And as always, remember, one of these days, this war is going to end. So stay cool until that day.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.